Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation. For all the censors out there that protect the community guidelines, we at the New Health Conversation pride ourselves on following exactly your community guidelines. Everything that we share with our audiences, number one, it's in the public domain, so everybody gets to see exactly what we're talking about. We make no claims. Everything we talk about is backed by peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. It's irrefutable medical evidence, so it's not an opinion. So if you think we're saying something that's not backed by medical science, I want to clear up any controversy, that there's nothing that we're sharing with people that isn't backed by peer-reviewed medical studies. I see these people coming on and making all these claims on social media. They don't have one shred of medical evidence. We do. We're very prideful of the fact that we supply people with real medical proof. That's the only thing that should ever matter to anybody. So, everyone, that is not a fake title. Julie dropped 7 pounds per week. She actually ended up losing, I'll show you exactly over here. She actually lost 35 pounds in 37 days. 35 pounds in 37 days. It's not a diet. It's not about counting calories. It's actually a detox. But don't get nervous about that. It's now been, these results or this protocol has now been published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world. Are you really serious about losing weight? Do you really think that paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating with these nice people talking about you're going to lose 20 pounds in a month and you're burning fat? Number one, there's no such thing as burning fat. So there's lie number one, okay? You're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and in between your fat cells expand or contract. That's it. Number two, when you look at the medical proof behind something like this time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, I have the study right here. They said after 3 months of people doing, they call it 16-8, where you don't eat, you fast for 16, you eat for 8. They said the people after 3 months gained almost no benefit from time-restricted eating, lost only 2 to 3.5 pounds, and the majority of the weight they shed was lean muscle mass. Now, this is a medical journal. It's not somebody giving you an opinion. You're all following opinions, but for once now you have real medical proof and real medical evidence. Now, you all can also, you can see right above your head there in blue, the New Health Conversation. It's a 100% free medical website where you can go to. By the way, this is live. This is not pre-recorded. This is not an infomercial, all right? And I'm, not that it would matter, but it should. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books. I've appeared 20 times on PBS. I did 1,500 live lectures around the world. I've spoken at universities. I've spoken in hospitals. I've spoken in towns. They even flew me to China. I'm not telling you that to impress you, but I'm telling you that with all that academia, the only thing I rely on, the only thing we rely on is medical proof. We do not give you opinions. If you want opinions, there's plenty of nice people on social media that are giving these opinions. They want to sell you recipes and then you get a coach. We offer you free coaching, not just initially, but all the way through. This is not a diet. It has nothing to do with dieting or counting calories or exercise. As a matter of fact, no one was allowed to exercise. But look at the change in her body composition, everybody. You can see it there, October 3rd and November 9th, so it was 37 days. Look at the change. I mean, what do you all think about that? I'd love for anybody to comment and let me know what you do think. And we got 1 heart, we have 1 like so far. Can we get some people tapping on the screen? But again, what does everybody think? 35 pounds in 37 days. You think it's fake? You think we photoshopped it? Or do you think that maybe you want to now pay attention? I know that most of you get excited losing a pound a week, but you're using an antiquated it's like you're using a dial telephone in an internet age. It's like you're still sending telegrams instead of using the internet. This is going to change the world. It's going to make every diet obsolete. And on the website, you'll actually see there's a link to the medical journals. This is not something we're making up, but I'd love for anybody to comment. What did she do? Alina, I'm going to tell you right now. So 100%, that's an interesting. Jad, Brenda, okay, everybody. So bear with me. This was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They had done 100 studies over 40 years, analyzing every diet pretty much in that time span. What they said is they never found a diet ever where people lost weight and kept it off long term. 2/3 of people on all these diets gained more weight than they lost, because on every diet, sad to tell of you, the weight you're losing, congratulations, but not really, because 25 to 40% of what you're losing on any of these diets is your lean muscle mass. That is absolutely slowing down your metabolism. That's why you plateau and gain everything back. Who's telling you that? Who's telling you with these fancy things, oh, you can lose 20 pounds in a month and most of it's fat? That's a complete lie. There's nothing to back it up other than an opinion. And opinions don't matter in the medical world. I found out for 22 years, I had all this academia. And in the medical world, it meant zero. So the researchers said, we're going to do something radically different. We're going to completely stop counting calories. And the reason they did that is, does anyone even know the definition of a calorie? Because the human body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. Why are we counting calories? I guess that's the norm. That's what everybody's doing. But it's ridiculous. You're alive because of three things, and one of them is not calories: air, water, and nutrition. So the researchers said, does it make sense? Can we figure out a way to go and find foods where you could eat less food, but those foods, the only criteria is more nutrition. So they literally put together a grocery list that she consumed that you'd take to your grocery store. And if you took whatever you spent on food last month, because they're not going to give you calorie counts for this. They're going to give you serving sizes. You only buy about 30% of the food you bought last month from your grocery store: proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. You'll have a list, not just of the food, but what the serving size is, okay? Then the other 70% you're going to consume of what you spent last month comes from these other researchers who've gone around the world to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition that you can't buy at your grocery store. So please don't come on and tell me, well, I eat whole, I'm doing organic and it's clean. No, our food in North America is becoming really nutritionally insufficient. These researchers like I said, over 40 years, they've done organic the whole time. And every time, do you understand? And nobody ever kept weight off long term. After 40 years, is that enough evidence that diets don't work, and yet you're all still on diets? I see you following these followers with 700,000 followers on this nonsense without one shred of medical evidence. And all the studies say, I mean, when you're talking about time-restricted eating, an average of, 2 to 3.5 pounds in 3 months, and most of what they lost was lean muscle mass. I mean, that's medical proof. That's not somebody giving you an opinion, and yet people are falling for it, right? So the problem is that we've all been hoodwinked, okay? So the researchers, 30% of your food, you get a grocery list you buy from the grocery store. The other 70% come from these exotic foods around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. So now they had the foods that she was going to consume. Then they created a new way of eating. What? Yeah. They did something called protein pacing. It's so advanced that the U.S. Patent Office gave them a registered trademark of protein pacing. Now, what the heck is protein pacing? Listen to this. You ever seen this on a diet before? 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods around the world. That was breakfast, no food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. Then 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, not fasting, not time-restricted eating, not water fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. She was literally eating every hour and a half for 2 hours. The diabetics on this, no one had insulin spikes. In a month's time, hunger in people went down 41%. Have you ever been on a diet where your hunger goes down and doesn't increase? It makes sense, because the only thing your body cares about, and your hunger comes not from lack of calories, everybody, from lack of nutrition. Does this make sense to everyone? You can disagree with me if you want, but I've got the medical evidence backing up everything I'm saying. Everything I'm saying is backed up in peer-reviewed human trial studies, not a scientific paper, not doctor recommended, none of that. It's all gobbledygook. It doesn't mean anything in the medical world. Unless you have studies done on human beings that are scrutinized at the highest levels, that's what peer review means. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a conversation. We all could have a conversation. But look around America, okay? They're projecting now in 4 years, Johns Hopkins Medical School, 86% of us will be overweight or obese in 4 years. Does that sound like diets are working to all of you? And yet the majority of you will go back to whatever you were doing. I can see by the few people that actually stick around. They come on and they jump off, and we have, but we're helping a lot of the people that do stick around. They're having amazing results. You can all see the new, look, are any of you out of your minds? Have you ever seen 35 pounds in 37 days with no exercise? And she lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle? What are you all doing? You're counting calories. Maybe you're going to lose a pound a week. Maybe. This is nuts. It's crazy. But she's not the only one. Look at Christine here. 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days with no exercise. And look at her waist and look at her stomach. Why did that occur? Because I didn't get a chance to finish. Also, the researchers, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. Now, why was that important? Aha, because this is a detox. This is not a diet. And they proved that this was assisting your body in removing the chemicals that you're storing inside your fat cells. None of these other stupid diets have ever touched that. Time-restricted eating, what a bunch of nonsense. There's no proof. There's nothing behind it other than a bunch of chatter. I mean, the weight loss that was studied about something like time-restricted eating was, I read it to you before. People lost 2 to 3.5 pounds in 3 months. Not 3 weeks, 3 months. She lost 21 pounds in a month. This is real. And then my friend's daughter, look at this, everybody. Right? What did they do? She 60 pounds in 3 months. 60. How much more proof? What more do you want to see, everybody? And you can, right above her head in blue, the new health conversation. It's a free medical website to go to. And if you go there, we won't even contact you. Why wouldn't you go there? Why wouldn't you go there? Do you think that's fake? Do you think we're lying? Do you think that's not real? I mean, you can. That's your opinion. But you've got to understand, it's published. It's proven safe. It's proven it works. Everything I'm sharing with you, it's backed up in these peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, published in these huge. So what you do is you do a peer-reviewed human trial study, and then you want to try and get published in one of these big journals. Doesn't mean you're going to get published. And secondly, the job of the journal is to discredit what you're trying to prove. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. I don't know how to make it simpler. What they do, you want to know. We'll tell you in a moment. Rob Martin twice, Lolo, HTP. Would anybody like to ask me a question? Because obviously, whatever I'm saying, people are not responding to. And yet, what more would I need to say? Have you ever seen any diet on anybody on social media showing you 60 pounds in 3 months with no loss of water and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle? Now, you've all heard, too, that it's unhealthy to lose more than, an older guy, you can't lose weight. Well, he lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. He's like 65 years old. Look at his lab work. A1C, 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides, 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. Please, somebody put in the comment. I'd like some more people to comment. So Ben Vero, what they do? I'll explain that to everybody in just a moment. But would anybody else like to ask a question? Do you think it's fake? Because if you think it's fake, then you're on the wrong podcast. Because we're scientists. We don't give you anything that's not backed by medical science. So let's talk about, okay, what did they do? How did she lose 5 pounds a week? And she only had 30 pounds to lose, and she lost 21 pounds in just a month. That's 70% of what you wanted to lose just in 30 days. Here's why no diet can ever work. I don't know of a diet out there that's not, at the end of the day, some form of counting calories. But the biggest problem with that, your body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. So the researchers said, we got to do something different. After 100 studies, 40 years, thousands of people, they never found a diet in 40 years that anybody ever lost weight and kept it off. And they don't sell anything. So the people that created this don't have any products. So if you think for a moment that I'm going to have some elixir or some magic formula that I'm going to present to you, we don't sell you anything. We educate you. And you're going to buy 30% of your food. Whatever you spent last month on food, you're only going to spend about 30% this month buying very specific foods laid up by the researchers, proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. But instead of calorie amounts, they're giving you serving sizes. But again, why would you surrender to going on a diet where maybe you're going to lose a pound a week? She lost 5 pounds a week. She's not the only one. But 30% of the food you would consume on this comes from your grocery store, organic. Only 30%. The other 70% of what you would spend comes from these other supply researchers who'd gone around the world for 20 years to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food. Then they created 2 new ways for you to eat food. 5 days a week, you do something of protein pacing. What the heck is that? Protein pacing is taking the food groups. Like breakfast, you start your day with these exotic foods from around the world. There's no food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner with your family from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner from these exotic foods from around the world. So 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. Yeah, she was eating like every hour and a half. Diabetics on this, there were no insulin spikes. Now let's look at the medical proof. In a month's time, people's hunger came down 41%. But here's the secret to this whole thing. It's not a diet. It's a detox. Now, how can I say that? Because the researchers, and it's published in the peer-reviewed studies, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis and proved that this was assisting the body in removing the chemicals from the fat cells. See, what we're all doing, we're ingesting chemicals, whether you know it or not, in the air, the water, and the food. And as they enter our body, the immune system can't deal with it. So once the liver can't deal with it, the body it has only one last choice. It takes that chemical and stuffs it inside your fat cell. And when people tell you that you burn fat on any of these diets or exercise, it's a lie. It's just, physiologically, it's a complete lie. Because you're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and that's it. But your fat cells can expand or contract. Well, the reason that most of you complain not just how much weight you have, but how much fat you have in your body, is because your body, to protect you, is stuffing the chemical in the fat cell, and the fat cell's expanding. But in this, you can see it in her waist. That's 30 days with no exercise, no sit-ups, no crunches, no saunas, no running, no anything. And look at the shrinkage in her stomach area. They're all like that. Every person is just the same thing. And they measured. They lost no water weight, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. So the number one reason to do this is not the weight loss, it's to detox your body. What's the number two reason to do it? Is it weight loss? No. They also measured, for the first time ever, inflammation came down 25% in 30 days. That's never, ever, ever been seen before on any diet. Number three, this is totally sustainable. That picture's 8 or 9 years old. She's kept all these people have kept their weight off because these studies, some of them started actually back in 2012. They've kept the weight off for 13 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. I would hope that that would be of interest to you. If you're just tuning in now and you really want to change your life, if you don't, then fool around with these people that are influencers that you see on TikTok, but they don't have any medical proof. Do you understand? None. Zero. And you're following a dead-end street. You're going down 100 miles an hour, and there's a brick wall at the end of it. You just can't see it yet. I mean, we're going to have 86% of Americans overweight or obese in 4 years. Not 40 years, 4 years. That's according to Johns Hopkins Medical School. So do you really think that the diet you're on now is going to work long term? You're just kidding yourselves. And I say that as a researcher. I don't have an agenda to discredit diets other than the medical proof, including even people like Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. That's Harvard Medical School telling you. They said, let me direct quote Harvard. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's what these researchers did. They have nothing to do with Harvard. But I got Medicare, I've got New England Journal, all of them saying stop counting calories. And yet that's what you're doing. Why? Because you don't know about this. This was developed by the top weight loss researchers in the world. 100 studies over 40 years to create what you're looking at there. You think, show me anybody, a diet like that. I had somebody the other day was telling me, well, I lost 40 pounds in 3 years. Really? Wow. He was excited about the fact that he was doing a carnivore diet. 40 pounds in 3 years. Oh, really? How about this? How about Curtis? How about 40 pounds in 30 days? He's trying to compare 40 pounds in 3 years to 40 pounds in a month. I understand you're all skeptical. I understand that. But look at his blood work. Now, unless you think we're lying, if you do, you're on the wrong podcast. Then go listen to these influencers who are giving you opinions. Oh, you can do time-restricted eating and you're going to lose 20 pounds in a month and you burn fat. Lie, number one. You can't burn fat. No such thing. And even if they did lose 20 pounds, 25 to 40% of what they're losing on whether it's time-restricted eating or keto or paleo or Mediterranean or what, I don't care what diet, 25 to 40% is lean muscle mass and 86%, I mean 2/3 gain back more weight than they lost on any of these diets. We're here as the canaries in the coal mine, making you aware. Why in the world are you settling for £1 a week? Why? That's pretty good for diets, actually, really good. Because when you look at the big studies, this one, 12 months, Journal of the American Medical Association, comparison of weight loss among named diet programs in overweight and obese adults. They looked at 48 different studies, 7,286 people, and they named all the major diets in this study. Paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, fasting, cornerstone, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig Weight Watchers, on and on and on. In 12 months, the average weight loss was 16 pounds in a year. You're just all kidding yourselves. You're going to lose weight initially on any of these diets. We're not arguing that. But did you know that 25 to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass, which slows down your metabolism? Then you're doomed. You're going to gain all the weight back. You understand you can't outrun your metabolism. That's not because of exercise. They weren't even allowed to exercise. What didn't exercise? Matt, are you listening? I'm the researcher of the researchers. You want to see they're not papers, Matt. That's a big difference, okay? These are peer-reviewed human trial studies published in the biggest medical journals in the world. Like, for example, Nature Communications, which is the #1 medical journal in the world. With all due respect, I'm the researcher of the researchers. We provide you, Matt, with a free website where you can go and see the peer-reviewed human trial studies, the New Health Conversation. Everything I'm sharing comes from that. It's not my research. That's why I'm the researcher of the researchers. But I have written 4 best-selling books, some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I did do 20 shows on public broadcasting. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And I've done over 1,500 lectures around the world in universities, like University of Maryland, like Notre Dame, like UCLA. They even flew me to China. So I guess I know a little bit. But I would never claim we bring the research that people are not aware of. But they're not scientific papers, Matt. Don't get confused. That means that's low level. That is not acceptable in the medical world. It's interesting, but the gold standard, the final say, is peer-reviewed human trial studies. And there's 10 of them. No diet has anything like this. Well, look at the results, Matt. Look at that. Yes, Isabel, I'm going to explain it to you. So, Matt, I hope I just explained that to you. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've worked with some of the top medical doctors and geneticists and molecular biologists and nutraceutical chemists in the world, and everything. And I wrote 4 best-selling books with some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. So I rely on the research of other people, but somebody has to bring it to the forefront. So okay. So what do you propose we do? How can you explain the weight? Okay. So let's talk about who did invent this, Matt, and everybody else. This was invented by, they are rated, okay, Matt and everybody else, the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, okay? They're rated #1. They did 100 studies, human studies, not a scientific paper, right? On pretty much every diet out there. And the sad conclusion they came to, Matt and everybody else, there was never a diet in 40 years after 100 studies where people lost weight and were successful in keeping it off. Worse, 2/3 of everybody on every diet they studied, the weight they were losing, and they were losing weight, with 25 to 40% was lean muscle mass, and 2/3 of them ended up weighing more than what they did at the end. The problem is that everybody's counting calories. Matt, it sounds like you're knowledgeable. Can you give me the medical definition of a calorie? Because in a year's time, I've done over 1,000 podcasts. I've had 9 people that actually got the right. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because every diet out there, 100% of them are some form of counting calories. And the problem with that is the human body has no idea what a calorie is. The researchers knew that. They said, stop the madness. No more calorie counting. We're going to create something where we're going to base it. The #1 criteria was nutritional density. We, the researchers, are going to pick foods that we're going to give people a serving size, not calories. Nothing to do with calories. And they picked 30% of the food. So whatever people spent last month, take 30% of those dollars. They buy it from the grocery store, organic, proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. Only 30% of what she consumed. Now, here was the absolute key to this. Because, see, there's no products here, everybody. So there's no magic elixir or pill. No, it doesn't work like that. This is food, okay? But the other key was 70% of the food did not come from the United States. There were other researchers who'd gone around the world to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to bring back huge amounts of nutrition in small amounts of food. So now they had the foods that she was going to ingest. And then based on that, they absolutely created a completely new way of eating, that they actually got a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office, this new way of eating called protein pacing. You all can look it up. On what they did, 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. Yeah, 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods around the world, no food from the grocery store, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner, these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. What about the other 2 days? Now, here's what made it work. And also, I need to inform all of you, this is not a diet. What this is a detox. Now, why did they say that? Because they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. So let's hold that on the side for a moment. I'll come back to it. But I want to tell you about 2 days a week what they did, something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. And the diabetics on this, which there were a lot, no one had insulin spikes. The contrary. As a matter of fact, for the first time in medical history, diabetics in 30 days, their need for insulin came down 41%. And those on medications who were monitored by their medical doctors. It's right in the studies. You can see it. I'm not making claims. It's in the published, in the peer-reviewed human trial studies. The need for insulin came down 41% in a month, and they had to cut their meds by 50% in 30 days. Number two, the number 2 reason to do this for the first time ever, no diets ever produced this, they measured inflammation, which is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It came down 25% in a month. The third part of this, it's sustainable. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. Oh, and the fourth thing is obviously the weight loss. Now, a lot of you maybe consider that number 1, but we look at it as the booby prize. It's not a question. I'm going to show you some other pictures. It'll blow your mind. Like, look at Julie here. 35 pounds in 37 days. Has anyone ever seen anything like that? Look at how much her body shrank. And we'll get into the detox aspect of this in just a moment. And then this is the picture. This is the before and after of a friend of mine, his daughter, who was part of these studies. 60 pounds in 3 months. 60 pounds in 3 months, everybody. That's 5 pounds a week average for 3 straight months. See, this is not a flash in the pan like, oh, in the first week you lose 5 pounds and then that's it. No, it doesn't work like that. And you know, you've all been told, when you get older, it's really hard to lose weight. Where do you see this 65-year-old man? Try this on, Matt. Sorry, let me find, sorry. There we go. How about 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days? But again, for my diabetics, look at his A1C. It went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124 in 30 days. This is a joke. No diet has ever done anything like this. This is going to change. This will make every single diet obsolete, because the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. It's to detox your body. Now, lest you think you're not toxic, this is a new medical syndrome, Matt and everybody else, called TDOS. T for toxicity, the D for nutritional deficiency, the lack of nutrition in our food, causing us to be overweight and stress. Oh, Peter Greenlaw, he discovered this. Who's that? Oh, that's me. It's registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. If you don't think you're storing chemicals in your body, you're living in an alternative planet. All you have to do, Google microplastics in your brain. And you'll see from, I think it's 2 months now ago, they came out in public, they're finding microplastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. But we're also finding herbicides, pesticides, and Scotchgard and Teflon inside our fat cells, our visceral fat. That's the fat around your organs. Look at his waist, everybody, and that's with no exercise. He lost no water weight, and they measured. He gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, despite the fact he's 65 years old. That shouldn't be happening. Well, it won't happen if you do it with regular conventional means. Our food in this country is so lacking in nutrition. That's why people are so, we're the most overfed and undernourished society in the world. That's why we have so many people overweight. People aren't hungry for calories. The only one thing you could ever be hungry for is nutrition, because that's the only thing your brain gauges. Do you have enough fuel to run all the organs of the body? The organs of the body are not run by calories. It's the dumbest thing we ever came up with. And I counted calories up until I became, and knew this and became a researcher. Well, it's not really a cure, Arthur. Protein pacing is, here's my point, Arthur. They tried to do protein pacing with just organic food from the United States. It didn't work. Because what would happen is, if you reduce the serving sizes, which they did, with regular food, you'd be in starvation mode and your brain would automatically begin to use your muscles for fuel. Does that make sense? You have to understand, Arthur, that, for example, Kristen here, who only had 30 pounds to lose, lost 21 pounds in a month. She lost no water weight because they measured it, and she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no one was allowed to exercise, Arthur. So the protein pacing works if you have these elements. You get the list, 30% you're going to buy from your grocery store, and the other 70% our coaches show you how to buy directly. You don't buy anything from us. You buy directly from, and look, free coaching. And don't think you're going to do this without a coach. We got coached. Because if you try to figure this out in terms of, oh, it's keto or it's paleo, no, it's not. It's not a diet. It's a detox. And as a matter of fact, the other thing that they put together for their patients in these big studies, it's called the Blueprint for Success, is what they gave to the patients. All the yellows you're looking at there, those are daily videos from the researchers explaining to you why it's safe and why it works. And the researchers, they don't sell anything. They have no products. So there's no vested interest here. What's their reward? After 40 years, they are credited with cracking the code for obesity and overweight. Listen, we got 2.5 billion people overweight in the world, and 1 billion of those are clinically obese. They have the solution. Now, you can be as skeptical as you want. I would invite you to go to the website. As a matter of fact, just go to Google and type in the New Health Conversation right there. That's what it's called, the New Health. It's a movement that we started, and you don't have to join anything, all right? Click on there. And there's the website. There's nothing to buy on that website. The only thing there is a medical proof, including number one, is an exclusive podcast with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. And he says in the interview, this is the top person in the world, that they will never, ever put anyone on a traditional diet again. They literally said it would be unethical. They said, why would we put people on diets that would take them 8 weeks to lose as much weight in a week? And the result of their weight loss on any diet, 25 to 40% is their lean muscle mass. So let's say someone loses 20 pounds. 5 to 8 pounds of that is lean muscle. And people think, oh, well, I come back off the diet and I gain my lean muscle mass. No, that's not true. As a matter of fact, the experts say to gain 1 pound of lean muscle back, it takes you almost a year. So if you've lost 5 pounds, it'll take. That's why people yo-yo in these diets. As a matter of fact, one of the big studies here, let me read it to you. The science behind why diets don't work, and look at how multiple diets are so darn harmful to you. This is what they said. This is not my opinion. I'm not giving you opinions, Matt or anybody else. This is from the medical proof. Despite all the ads that say otherwise, it is very rare for people to lose weight and keep it off for good. Not only that, 2/3 of people in our studies who diet regain more weight than they originally lost, ending up at a higher weight than they started. A review of more than 30 long-term studies showing that on any diet actually causes weight gain. And listen to this part. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. So the problem is, see, when people go on a diet and they lose weight because 25 to 40% is a lean muscle, by the time they've gained all the weight back, they haven't restored their lean muscle. So now they go on a new diet, they already have less lean muscle mass. Why do you think it is that we're now projecting within 4 years, Johns Hopkins Medical School, that 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese? So who would like to argue for calories in, calories out? Or do you understand it's a pointless argument? Because every single study out there, even Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. Here's Medicare. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. The researchers for Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether any diet is an effective treatment for obesity. The studies show that 2/3 of dieters regain more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, this is Medicare. There is little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. No one's arguing you can lose weight initially on any of these diets. But if you understand that 25 to 40% of your losing is your lean muscle mass, it pretty much guarantees you're going to gain all the weight back and more. I don't know why this is such a hard concept for people to understand, because most of you are going to go back to counting calories. Yeah, these, again, amen, right. So let's see who else is saying something. You must feed body what is needed to build the tissues, regenerate muscles. Mina, you're exactly right. But you're not going to do it with food from North America, sadly to say. I'll give you one example. Cornell University did a study on spinach, which we all think is really healthy, which it is. And they looked at the iron. This is Cornell University, 1957 to year 2000. They estimate the iron levels in spinach have decreased. You ready for this? by 4,300%. So a bowl of spinach in 1957, in the year 2000, you need about 20 bowls of spinach to equal the nutrition. See, that's where we're all messed up. People keep looking at quantities and ignoring the quantity of what? Not calories, nutrition. Because you're only alive because of three things: air, water, and not calories, nutrition. When your brain senses, see what you're doing on a diet, think what you're doing. You reduce the amount of food you're consuming. Did they ever tell you any of these influences, these nonsensical chatters, that you're losing lean muscle mass? Because your brain, to satisfy the needs of the body, when there's not enough fuel, the brain freaks out, goes in starvation mode, and turns to your muscles for fuel. It's not up for debate. Every single study. I've got another big study here. The title of it was The Grand Myth of Traditional Diets, a Devastating Cycle of Failure and False Promises. I'll just give you the highlights. They did a 12-month study analysis of all these diet groups: low fat, low carb, keto, carnivore, macro counting, and time restricted eating. 12 months on any of these diets. The least amount of weight loss in a year was 11 pounds. The most amount of weight loss in a year was 16 pounds. So that means you're losing 1 pound and a quarter, a pound and 4 ounces a month in the long run. And they said right here, on every diet, 25 to 40% of what people were losing was lean muscle mass. Those are not my opinions. This is crazy. This is insanity what we're doing. And people want to come on and argue with me about it. Oh, it's about a calorie deficit. Really? Where would that evidence be? Listen, how could you be in a calorie deficit when your body doesn't even know what a calorie is? Can any of you give me the technical definition of a calorie? What is it? No, there's no multivitamins, Arthur. No. As a matter of fact, unless you're under doctor's care, Arthur, for calcium deficiency or iron deficiency, you don't need supplements anymore, ever, once you go on this. Because it's not just what you lose the weight initially. It's called R2M, Arthur, race to maintenance. Arthur, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. 23 years. Arthur, and I didn't even get to the part to tell of you, what about maintenance? This picture of her right here was taken 8 years ago. She kept it off for 8 years. Maintenance, you want to know how simple it is? My breakfast every morning, these exotic foods around the world. And then I have 2 normal meals. And then every couple months I do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast. See, Arthur, the thing is we need to blow up these myths. Blow them up. They're not working. Arthur, would you agree with me? You don't have to. But Johns Hopkins Medical School is saying within 4 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. Arthur, does that sound to you like what we're doing now is working? What, in 1964, we had 10 or 15% of the population overweight and obese? So it means from 1964 until, they're saying 2030, that's going to be like a 600% increase? Well, I'll give you a better example. 1995 to 2025, 30 years. Obesity rates have doubled. Doubled. Arthur, do you agree we have more diets than ever? Yes, Arthur. Exotic foods from places. Arthur, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet in the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. These other researchers spent 20 years going and finding. Arthur, they brought back foods from these blue zones where people are living to be 100 years old. I want that in my body. I don't know about you. Arthur, understand, sadly, the food in North America. We've been called, we're the most overfed and undernourished society in the world, in America. We have these huge quantities of basically empty food from a nutritional standpoint. And Arthur, the only thing your body cares about is nutrition. It doesn't have any idea what a calorie is. We have been so brainwashed, it's insane. But Arthur, look at this gentleman here, 65 years old, 40 pounds in a month, Arthur. And look at his blood work. His A1C from 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides 242 to 124. They estimate of the 86% of the people that are going to be overweight or obese, 50% of those are pre-diabetic already. You think that this whole thing's going to collapse unless we do something different. And it's not a new diet, a new way of counting calories. It's all nonsense. All the major studies say that. Here's what these top researchers said. Just bear with me, just a few sentences about what they said. The title, The Grand Myth of Traditional Diets, a Devastating Cycle of Failure and False Promises. Traditional diets, be they low-fat, low-carb, keto, carnivore, macro counting, or time-restricted eating, seduced millions with vows of dramatic weight loss and radiant health. But the brutal truth, etched in decades of unyielding scientific evidence, shatters this illusion. These diets deliver fleeting illusions of progress followed by inevitable weight regain, negligible long-term medical benefits, and the hidden toll on your body by losing 25 to 40% of your lean muscle mass, slowing down your metabolism and your own immune system. These diets are making you unhealthy, Arthur, and everybody else. I'm a researcher. Nothing I'm sharing with you is my opinion. I always tell the censors that, because all of this you can see in the public domain. Arthur, these peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're on our website. If you go right here, the New Health Conversation, that's the free website. We won't even contact you if you go there. The only way we'll contact you is if you like what you see, you scroll down and you get free coaching. Look, there it is, the New Health Conversation. There's the website. There's nothing to buy on that website. The only thing there is the medical proof, including number 1 is an exclusive interview with the number 1 weight loss nutritionist in the world. Look at number 3, the actual medical studies you can see, Arthur. You just click on there. You could Google them yourself, but we made it easy for you. Just there they are. And you understand peer-reviewed human trial studies, there's no editing them. I mean, these are published in like Obesity Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, the Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Nutrition, and Nature Communications, the number 1 medical journal in the world, the number 1 journal. And that study, by the way, which came out about 8 months ago, had nothing to do with weight loss. The title of the study, Gut Microbiome Remodeling and Metabolic Profile Improved Drastically in Response to Protein Pacing and Intermittent Nutritional Fasting, had nothing to do with the weight loss. Had everything to do with our gut health, which we're finding is really, that's our immune system for the most part, just to let you know. And there's the website again for all of you, the New Health Conversation. And I started this out. Julie lost 7 pounds a week. Here it is, right here she is. Look at this. 35 pounds in 37 days. Now, unless you think we're lying, and if you do, you're on the wrong podcast. You think we faked that, you're on the wrong podcast. We don't have to fake anything. You're all following. Show me, please, someone, Arthur or anybody else, show me someone you're following. Could be a doctor, could be a chiropractor, dietitian, nutritionist, fitness expert, weight loss coach, that have 1 shred of medical evidence. Why aren't they posting any peer-reviewed human trial studies? You know why? Because the claims they're making are completely unsubstantiated. They can't back it up. Because the claims that they're making, things like you burn fat on this, there's no such thing as burning fat. It's a complete lie. You're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and your fat cells can expand or contract over your lifetime. That's it. So the minute they say, I saw a chiropractor the other day said, well, we're going to show you how to burn fat. You don't know what you're talking about. I mean, they make these generalizations. But when you look at the absolute on-the-ground medical proof, it's different. For example, let's take a look at the shots, GLP-1s. And we're not against the shots. Don't hear me say that. I don't want the pharmaceutical companies calling me up. They help diabetics and they help morbidly obese. But let's just do a comparison, okay? This, and you all can look it up. It's in the public domain. Go to the New England Journal of Medicine, once weekly semaglutide in adults overweight or obese, okay? This was a 68-week study. A year and 4 months. The weight loss after 68 weeks was 32 pounds, and of the 32 pounds people lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. That's the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, wait a minute. They took 68 weeks to lose 32 pounds. Julie lost 21 pounds in a month, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9%. Did you hear what I said? After 68 weeks on semaglutide, they lost 32 pounds and 40% was lean muscle mass. How much more evidence do you want or need to see? Study after study after study shows that calorie counting is dead. It never should have started. Can anybody give me the technical, the medical? Well, Arthur, no, it's not fasting. Arthur, let me clarify for you. No, it's intermittent nutritional fasting. Arthur, on those days, you're eating 8 times a day. Got that? And you're actually part of what you're eating on the intermittent is protein. Okay, that's part of it. So you're doing protein pacing every single day. And Arthur, once you get to maintenance, all you do is have one of these meals for breakfast, 2 normal meals, and then every couple months, then do another 48-hour intermittent. But keep in mind, Arthur, intermittent nutritional fasting, very important. It's a registered trademark, actually, with the U.S. Patent Office now. It's not intermittent fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. Completely different. You're fasting with nutrition. But no food for the United States, Arthur. Because the point is to give yourself enough nutrition, because our food in North America is becoming so nutritionally insufficient. You'd go in starvation mode and you would be burning muscle. Arthur, she lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. But look at her stomach. Look at the detox. There's your evidence of the detox. And they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, Arthur. This is not some claim that I'm making. This is actually what happened. Arthur, the coaches show you everything. See it there, Arthur, the new health conversation. Give me a yes that you see that. Isabel, I'll answer that in just a moment. I want to finish with Arthur first, okay? So Arthur, the key is, do you see that, Arthur? Free coaching. Arthur, let me show everybody again, and then I promise, who is it? Ask me the question. Isabel. I'll come back to that in a moment. Everybody gets to go to the website, the New Health Conversation. Type it in Google search. You'll see in a moment here, it'll come up on Google. You click on the link, and there's the medical website. Arthur, Isabel, everybody, if you go to that website, we will not contact you. We don't need to. The medical proof is there. If you like what you see, then you scroll down and you get a free coach. And the coach will show you the grocery list you're going to buy from the grocery store, Isabel, as far as the normal meals. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. And then the other 70% you're going to buy directly from the researchers who went to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to bring back these exotic foods and nutrients that you'd be consuming. It's all laid out, Arthur, and then they teach you and show you what to do daily. So Isabel, back to your good question. So the researchers picked out organic food, but only 30% of the total food you'd consume in a month would come from North America, Isabel. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates, fruits, and vegetables. Nothing to do with calorie counting, Isabel. Nothing. Zero. They don't want anybody counting calories. It's ridiculous because the human body has no idea what a calorie is. So they give you serving size. It's like if it's protein, how many ounces. If it's a vegetable, a third or a half a cup. Not calorie counting, okay? But that's only 30%. So your normal meals, which you're having, so each week there's going to actually be, what is that? So at 5 days you're going to have a lunch and dinner from what you consider normal food, and then 2 days a week, no food from the grocery store or normal food, as you would say, only these foods from around the world. Does that make sense, Isabel? But again, look at her results. Isabel, she lost no water weight, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle, and this is the only weight loss health nutrition program in the world that's published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world. It's safe, it's real, it's proven. It's been vetted by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world. That's what a peer-reviewed human trial study is. See, people are telling me, do you have a scientific paper? That doesn't mean a damn thing. That's a speculation. And the reason, why won't they do peer-reviewed human trial studies? Because if you're a researcher and you submit your work to, like, let's say the Obesity Journal, which is one of the journals that publish these results, they hire people to discredit what you're proving. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study, if that makes sense to everybody. Does that make sense to everybody? Oh, I signed up waiting for coaches. Great, Arthur. Right. But Isabel, excuse me, does that make sense to you? And all of you can ask me whatever question you want. This is live. And let me explain something to you. I didn't invent this. I'm called the researcher of the researchers. But I've been doing this for 23 years. I did 20 shows on public broadcasting. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. I did 1,500 live lectures around the world in universities and hospitals and towns. Heck, they even flew me to China. But do you know, for 22 of my 23 years in the medical world, with these, we had anecdotal, we had before and afters. You know what it meant in the medical world to the medical teams? Zero. Why? Because there were no peer-reviewed human trial studies. And of course, they said things like, they looked at like results like this and said, oh my God, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast on a diet. See, they don't even get it. This is not a diet, it's a detox. And in case you all didn't know, you're all suffering, Arthur, Isabel, everybody, from this medical syndrome, including me. TDOS, what does it stand for? Toxins being stored in your fat cells, caused by the lack of enough nutrition to help your body get rid of the toxins, causing you to be overweight and stressed. Now, some of you are thin and say, well, I'm not toxic. The hell you're not. They did a study on 500 really fit people, and they did MRIs on their brain, kidney, liver, heart, breast tissue, prostate, and men. And they saw this white halo, this toxic fat. The body, to protect us, is taking the chemicals that we're breathing, drinking, eating, and stuffing them in our fat cells, specifically the visceral fat, which is the fat around the organs. So even though it doesn't show up in the outside, in people that are thin, It shows up on the inside. Do you know we have kids as young as 2 doing this? You know we have a grandma who's 90, well, I guess she's a great-grandmother, 91. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with a heart transplant, people with kidney transplant, people with no gallbladders, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical disease. Don't hear that. That's not what we're doing. Our job is to make you aware. Our job is not to convince you. If you think our job is to convince you, then go to the website and see there's nothing there to buy, and we will not contact you. Tell me how fair this is to all of you. How fair is that? No, it's impossible. There's no such thing. No, Arthur, that's not right. Arthur, did you go to the New Health Conversation? There's nothing on that website to buy. Nothing. Did you go right there to the New Health Conversation, Arthur? I'm just really curious. Because again, even if you did, you have no idea what to order. What about the regular foods? What about the coaching? So, no, absolutely don't buy anything. It's impossible. You couldn't have gone to the New Health Conversation. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to pull it up on here on my own. Let me just see something here. Hold on just a second. Okay, plus. I'm typing in myself, Arthur, the new Health Conversation, okay? I just clicked on it. I went to the website. There's nothing to buy. There's no mention of any products on that site at all. You either went to the wrong, right at the bottom it says book your free coaching session today. That's what you were supposed to do, which it sounds like you did do it. But no, don't be buying anything until you talk to a coach, because again, what foods are you going to buy? I mean, do you have any idea? So anyway, yeah, totally wrong click, Arthur. I promise you that's not correct. No. There's nothing for sale. We don't sell you anything. Plus, you need a grocery list. Plus, Arthur, you also get, this is what the medical researchers did. They created this blueprint for success that they gave to all the patients. These yellows you see in here, they're daily videos. You need all that from the coaches. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, who else would like to ask me a question? Coach reached out. Who was the coach that reached? Bob. Arthur Lee Bob. No. Who reached out to you when I'm saying Arthur? I'm just curious. One of our coaches. Arthur, the coaching is 100% free. 100%. How cool is that, Arthur? Is that cool? So I'm sorry for whatever, and you gave me a rose. That's wonderful. And we have 2,600 likes. Come on, everybody. Ask me some questions. Let me show you some other before and afters. Julie, 35 pounds in 37 days. But what about my friend's daughter? 60 pounds in 3 months, everybody. That is real. What do you think? People coming on, please comment. Trishy, look, Trishy, how much do you have to lose? Oh, Mia Briscoe. Okay, reach out to Mia. Absolutely. Reach out to Mia. 1,000,000%, Arthur. Totally correct. Yes. Reach out to Mia. But Trishy, 25. Okay. Did you see this, Trishy? She lost 21. You could lose 20. I'll tell you this right now, Trishy. The first week, you'll probably lose 8 to 10 pounds. How much would that inspire you? That 25, I would say max 5 weeks. And then we're going to show you how to keep it off. How excited would you be about that? Where do you get it, MP? You go, Trishy and MP. Do you see right above her head there in blue, the New Health Conversation? I'm going to go to Google, everybody, type in the New Health Conversation, and it's going to take you to the Google link, which will take you to the website where you can see all the medical proof. And if you like what you see, you get to choose. See it there, the New Health Conversation? Here's the website. There's nothing to buy on that website. It's only the medical proof. You see right there, number one is the interview with the number one podcast with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. And all the coaching is free, everybody. Free coaching. How much does it cost for coaching? 0. And then, where do you see this, Trishy? Trishy, look at this. A 65-year-old man, 40.8 pounds, 52 inches in 30 days. But look at his blood work, Trishy, right? From A1C 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. And then you look at someone like this guy. Look at the transformation in his body. 34 pounds and 26 inches and 20. Look at him. It almost looks like a different person. That's with no exercise allowed. No exercise. And not that the researchers were getting to exercise, but they didn't want it to be an outlier. Otherwise, you'd say well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No one was allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits, everybody, to prove they weren't exercising. How does that sound to everybody? Oh, we got lots of, can we get some more taps on there? We're stuck at 2,600. M. Doherty, did I answer your question? But more importantly than MP Doherty and Trishy, I want to explain to you what they did. It's not just what you're going to eat, okay? So first of all, who developed this? Not me. It was developed by what are rated the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world who had done, listen to this, Trishy and everybody else, they had done 100 studies on human beings over 40 years. Pretty much every diet out there. And sadly, the way they invented this was because over 40 years, they never found a diet where people lost weight and kept it off long term. What would be the point of a diet when 2/3 of the people they studied gained more weight than they lost? So those people literally would have been better off never having gone on a diet in the first place. And they said the main flaw of all the diets that you're all on or have been on, Trishy, when you lost the weight, I'm assuming you were doing some form of counting calories. If you'd be kind enough to share with me what diet, I'll dissect it for you and tell you why it's impossible, why it didn't work, and why you gained all the weight back. Trisha, you're proving my point. We don't argue you can lose weight on any of these diets. What we're saying is the medical proof says 2/3 of you are going to weigh more than when you started. So let's keep going. So the researchers said we need to do something different. See, Trisha, we're all alive because of three things: air, water, and not calories, nutrition. So what happens to you, and the reason you gained all the weight back when you went on a diet, you reduced the quantity of food you were consuming. But did they ever tell you that when you did that, you would lower the amount of nutrition? And when your brain figured out there wasn't enough nutrition, Trishy, what did it do? It stopped you from accessing the fuel in your fat cell and turned to your muscles for fuel, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you gained all the weight back. Does that make sense, Trishy? Not on this. The researchers, their goal was, we're going to give you less food, but we're going to pick foods. Their only criteria, nothing to do with calories. Trishy or MB on this, no counting calories. Well, it was also the fact that diets just fail you, but we're going to turn this around for you. Very sad. For my condolences for your mom. Let me tell you right now, Trishy, my mother was morbidly obese my whole life. My mom, I never knew her thin, I never knew her healthy, and I loved her. And 24 years ago, she called me up one day. She said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything to spend one day thin. 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. So I lost my mom too, and it was one of the most horrible things ever. My mom dieted herself to death. Trishy, that's why I hate diets so much. So anyway, let me continue. So the researchers said, we're going to pick foods for you, but we're not going to give you calorie amounts. We're going to give you serving sizes. And so whatever you spent, Trishy, on food last month, I figure about 30% of those dollars you're going to spend this month at your grocery store, organic food, but you're going to have a list of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables, and the serving sizes, nothing to do with calories. Now, the key was the other 70% of what you would buy doesn't come from the United States. It comes from other researchers who've gone around the world to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to bring back huge amounts of nutrition in very small amounts of food, if that makes sense to you, right? So now they had the foods that she was going to consume. Then they created a completely new way of eating. And that way of eating was this. 5 days a week, she was doing something called protein pacing. What does that mean? It means they let her have 4 meals a day, Trishy. She started with these exotic foods around the world. That was breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days a week, you'd be having 4 meals a day. Now, keep in mind, this is only until you get the weight off and your maintenance, because we're going to teach you how to keep it off for the rest of your life. Trishy, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That would be something. And that was after I lost my mom also. That's part of the reason I gained weight. Anyway, to make a long story short, 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food at all from the grocery store, only these exotic foods. But this time, Trishy, you're going to be eating 8 times a day. You're going to eat every hour and a half to 2 hours. And diabetics on this, Trishy, there were no insulin spikes. Let me give you the medical proof. In a month's time, people's hunger had come down 41%. And the biggest reason to do this and why it's not a diet, it's a detox. What does that mean? It means the researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis and proved that this was assisting the body in removing the chemicals that we're all storing inside our fat cells. That's why you all complain, not just about how much weight you have gained, but how much fat you have. Well, you can see it there in a waist. But they proved it medically. Number 2, what was the second thing they saw? First time ever, no diets ever produce this. They lowered inflammation, which is the underlying cause of every disease out there, by 25% in 30 days. Number 3 was maintenance. Like I said, this picture is 8 or 9 years old. She's kept it off for 8 or 9 years. And number 4, of course, is the weight loss. Now, a lot of you would rank that number 1. But the medical benefits, listen, all of us need to be detoxing. Now, how simple is maintenance? You have the exotic foods. This morning, that was my breakfast, the exotic foods from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand for breakfast. And then I'll have a regular lunch today. I'll have a regular dinner. And then, let's say every 2 months, I'll do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast, if that makes sense to all of you. Now, again, to see how to do this, you can all see right above her head there in blue, everybody, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website you can go to. If you go there, we will not contact you. By the way, let's get some more taps. We're stuck at 2,700 taps. Hello, Isabel. And I love all the people that are hanging around to learn about this. Could I get some comments? Please, anybody comment. Do you agree if this is real, why would you ever even look at any other diet? Assuming you go to the website, you see the medical proof, you're going to get free coaching. But look at her results, everybody. Again, let's tap on there. 2,800 likes. Come on, all we need is some taps on the screen. Let's get to 3,000 or more. So who else would like to ask a question? So Trishi, does that make sense to you now? Example of what you eat for breakfast. Well, these exotic foods around the world, they include, it's not just food, it's what's in the food. So let me give you some nutrient examples. So part of what I consume actually comes from Mongolia and Tibet. And it's been proven medically to massively lower stress. Another nutrient or food that I take actually comes from Tibet in the Himalayas that is responsible for lowering the inflammation in the body. And some of these you drink like a tea or you mix it with water. It's not, let me say this to you, it's not like kale or spinach or cabbage, it's not things like that. These are primarily nutrients, which in these, blue zones in the world, they do drink as a soup or as a tea or, etc. So and again, the coaches would go over all that with you. Remember, the coaching's free. And they're not there to sell you. They won't. They'll answer all your questions and show you exactly what's involved. But those are those are not things you can get from your local grocery store. And we have the medical proof to back it up. That's the other thing that's so significant about this, Trishi. It's not I'm not making some comment on my part. Go to the website. And it's just so crazy when you see things like, where is he? Look at this, everybody. That's in a little over a year, 200 pounds. Where's the loose skin? Does everybody see that? Tricia, I actually did R2M. Really? When? How long ago did you do it, Tricia? Oh, Corey, can you share an example of what you eat for breakfast? I just explained it to you. Last year. Huh. And that's when you lost weight and gained it all back, losing your mom? Wow. Started in May. Huh. Did you have a coach, Tricia? That's important. You must have. If you did R2M, normally you had a coach. Okay. So what I would invite you to do is go back to the website, get a new coach if you want to do it or not, and they'll explain it to you. So I'm assuming you didn't continue because of the stress from your mom. I'm assuming. I don't want to make an assumption. Yes. Okay. Okay. So listen, all of you. I do have to go because my voice is. I can only do so many of these a day, and I know I've already been a little bit over an hour. But if anybody has one last question before I sign off, the most important thing is you all want to go to that. You see it in blue there, the New Health Conversation. You go to Google, you type in the New Health. Of course, Arthur, absolutely. I'm restarting it. Great, Trishi. And make sure you have a coach. Because if you did it a year, did you get the Blueprint for Success, Trishi, when you did it? Very important that you had that. Because we've changed some things now. For example, on a intermittent nutritional fasting day, you'll see we completely changed that. What you're consuming, when you're consuming, how you're consuming. Good. So you know what to do then, Tricia. You know to go to the website, you get the free coach, whatever. Unless you're still you don't know who your coach is, then they can get back to you. And again, take advantage of the free coaching. But good. Yes, since last year it changed. Yes, Tricia. Yep. We learned some new things that we didn't know before. So it's always evolving, right? So would anybody else like to ask me a question? Well, we hit 3,000 likes. I'm very thrilled about that. Of course, Corey. Of course. Again, the grocery list you have also applies to a restaurant. So it's got proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. So yes, it accommodates your life. You're not you're not a hermit. You're not stuck in your house. No, you can absolutely go out and enjoy the world. 1,000,000%. Trishy, thank you. So Corey, Corey, just if you don't mind, comment. What do you think about that right there? Just that. What do you think about that? I'm waiting for your comment, Corey. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I love to know what people's reaction is to that. Because obviously, if you don't think we're lying to you and we didn't Photoshop it, wouldn't you be curious enough to go to the website and see the medical proof? Oh, great. When did you sign up today, Corey? So, Corey, did you sign up today or yesterday or whatever? Because I didn't see yesterday. Oh, okay. Congratulations. Well, you'll probably get contacted then. It's early enough in the morning here in Denver, Colorado, where I live in Denver, so it's only 8:45 in the morning. What part of the country are you in, Corey? That is so funny. I signed up 5 minutes ago. Oh, good. New Jersey. Okay, so you're at 11:15, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're 11:15. Well, good. So then I don't have to worry because I'm sure you'll get contacted today. Okay. All right, everybody. I need to sign off now. I've got to go to rest my voice. And let's see. So let's see, 9:30, 10. So let's say I'll come on with another podcast around noontime today. So maybe you can invite other people because anybody can come to this podcast. And anybody can go to the website for free. They don't have to listen to my podcast. But hopefully this was a real value to everybody. Great, Corey. Thank you very, very much. Okay, everybody, I'm going to sign off now. And I hope I've inspired you to go to the New Health Conversation. It's free to go there. We won't contact you, but you can scroll down and get a free coach to find out more. There's no charge for the coaching at any time in the beginning, all the way through when they teach you how to maintain it for the rest of your life. Okay? Bye, everybody.